and men after closing arguments today.
I submit to you that the state has failed to meet its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Defense lawyer Eric Nelson.
The defendant is guilty of second-degree murder. He's guilty of third-degree murder. He's guilty of second-degree manslaughter. All of them. Because this was not a justified use of force.
Prosecutor Steve Slisher, Chauvin faces charges of second and third-degree murder and third-degree manslaughter in Floyd's death. He's the first of 4 former officers to be tried. A ruling on the cause of death of a Capitol police officer who died after the January 6th riot.
Officer Brian Sicknick suffered strokes and died of natural causes. The medical examiner in D.C. has ruled Sicknick collapsed hours after engaging with protesters during a violent breach of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. He died the following day. Investigators initially believed Sicknick was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. Later, they charged 2 individuals with assaulting Sicknick with a chemical substance. No one has been charged in the officer's death. Sicknick was 42 years old. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
An Indiana prosecutor says a former employee who shot 8 people inside a FedEx facility last week never appeared before a judge for a hearing under the state's red flag law. Marion County prosecutor Ryan Mears said authorities believe they did what they needed to do by seizing a gun from Brandon Hole last year. Authorities have said Hole was able to buy the weapon used in the attack legally. On Wall Street, stocks closed broadly lower. The Dow lost 123 points. The Nasdaq minus 137. The S&P off 22. America is listening to Fox News.
Are you running a business? Then why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office 24/7. With Stamps.com, you get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
The White House is calling for the release of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny as his health worsens.
Russia's prison service says Alexei Navalny is being transferred to a prison hospital nearly 3 weeks after the opposition leader began a hunger strike. Navalny's physician says the politician's health is deteriorating rapidly and warns he could be close to death. Prison officials describe Navalny's condition as satisfactory and say he's agreed to take vitamin supplements. Navalny began the strike after he was refused access to a doctor for back pain. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Navalny was arrested when he returned to Russia after spending time in a German hospital recovering from what doctors said was nerve agent poisoning that Navalny blamed on the Kremlin. A memorial service held today for the victims of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland grew emotional as he recalled the damage to the Murrah Federal Building 26 years ago.
At the time, we did not know how many people had died. But we did know that the Children's Center, which had been at the front of the building, was gone.
Garland, who was one of the lead Justice Department attorneys to prosecute the bomber, Timothy McVeigh, said that the terror McVeigh perpetrated is still with us, that last month the FBI warned of a heightened threat posed by domestic violent extremists, and that the Justice Department is pouring its resources toward fighting that threat. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
An innovative new smartphone app funded by the GOP is set to streamline voter discrimination in key swing states. With more on this fascinating story, we go to Jason Copeland.
Well, thanks, Andrea. You know, a new election means a new set of racist voting laws in battleground states, causing long delays and chaos at the polls. But does it have to be so cumbersome? This year, the exciting new Vote Right app aims to help minorities avoid the hassle by stripping away their vote right in the palm of their hands. The Vote Right app is incredibly user-friendly. When you register, you first enter a set of personal information and take a photo of your skin. Vote Right immediately makes rash generalizations about you, and these are just some of Vote Right's intuitive new features. Real-time updates on the bullshit red tape preventing you from registering, and even a video of a condescending white woman who will scream at you from the phone rather than in person at the polling station.
This isn't a food stamp line, sir. You need ID.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Case of the Mondays? Anyone? Oh, hey, wait.
Uh-oh. There I am. Is it Monday?
Who's the engineer around here? Who's pressing the buttons? I'm not even supposed to be in this chair right now, but I am.
We just got some great news.
Well, and maybe we'll be able to share that news with all y'all. But first, I got to tell you, this is Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, plus...
And it is Conan.
And Arya will be joining us shortly. But first... we take you to an exclusive. We take you to an exclusive Free Talk Live. Mr. Freeman, are you with us?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. I just did the intro, and that is all. So you are live on Free Talk Live, I believe, for the first time in a month?
Yeah, actually, 5 weeks as of tomorrow morning.
Well, welcome back, brother.
Welcome back, Ian.
It's literally taken that long for me to be out of my cell on 23-hour lockdown at a time at which I can actually call into the show. There were actually 2 other occasions, but there were technical difficulties that got in the way. So 5 weeks later, finally.
Well, I'm glad to hear your voice. I know Conan's glad. I'm sure a plethora of listeners are glad. What do you have to say to everybody? This is your first time.
Oh, I don't know. Just wanted to touch base. I mean, I'm here at the Merrimack County Spiritual Retreat. Like I said, 23-hour lockdown, so I get a 1 hour a day out. And so I figured, after 7 o'clock, I'm actually, for the first time, as you mentioned, on Friday night, able to actually listen to the show, at least on weeknights if the Red Sox aren't on. So tonight you guys are going to be on out here in New Hampshire.
Nice.
So I'll be able to tune in afterwards.
And how does that how's that process? You have to listen with other people, or you're able to have your own little radio in the cell or something?
I do have my own little radio, so it took about 3 weeks for me to finally get into a place where I could finally order from the commissary. And the first week I was restricted on what I could order. So then the second week, so 4 weeks in, I was able to actually order a little clear plastic radio. So I do have the ability to listen.
Outstanding.
Thankfully, we have some stations in New Hampshire that make it possible.
Right. And so it's my understanding that you may not be the only person that has one of these in that particular facility, and that it may be possible that more than just you are listening.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, because there's not that many stations that you can receive on these little radios. So, there's like 3 country stations, there's 1 rock station, 1 top hot hits station, and a couple others. And otherwise, there's WTPL and WEMJ, which are located in Hillsborough, which is the town right outside of Concord. And then also EMJ is located in Laconia, which is the Lakes region. So actually, technically, both of those stations make it into the jail. One is a little stronger than the other.
Nice. So you've been listening. We've been doing, a horrible job without you here, but, we're carrying the torch nonetheless.
Ian, they broke everything, man.
I know.
It
They're
was
not a very nice
Arya
people,
and Captain and Mark. They've been scrapping everything together like you wouldn't believe. It's we're not on YouTube anymore because of some bad things that were said or whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. I heard YouTube was issuing medical malpractice strikes against our channel.
medical misinformation, because we've been calling the Pfizer and Moderna, whatever they're calling vaccines.
Experimental
vaccines. We've been calling them what they are, which is, a genetic alteration platform.
It's gene splicing.
Well, I don't know that it's splicing, but
anything that you say that does not coincide with the official CDC propaganda is considered medical misinformation.
Yeah, but we've been saying this all year, and all of a sudden now they're cracking down on us.
It's fashy.
Somebody reported it.
Yeah. Well, good.
We've got more viewers probably now because whenever Free Talk Live hosts get put in jail, our ratings go up. More people tune in.
I can confirm
that
haters
tuning in too.
Yeah, I can confirm that indeed did happen. For example, the night of the terrorist attack on the studio, we did a show, albeit it only streamed live out to Breaking the Flaw on YouTube. That was the only, as it turned out. I thought we were on, at least some internet streams, but it turns out we weren't. But we did a show. We recorded the show, a couple of days. The very next day we were able to get back on the radio, but we had poor audio quality for the next, intermittently for the next 5-6 days or so, as far as the radio feed was concerned, until we remedied that. But that first show from Thursday the 16th, the day of the actual raid, that one had a huge bump in downloads once it was uploaded.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you are absolutely correct. I can confirm that those are the facts.
Ian, we've been told that you're reading like 400 pages a day.
That's what I can do. It's slowed down a little bit recently because I've had some mail to answer, and also I've been working on some blog posts as well. So I'm doing a lot of writing over the last few days. But yeah, I can pretty easily. If all I do is read all day,
yeah,
I can easily go through.
I do believe someone has set up a book, a Get Ian book list. And I think everyone is you're probably going to be inundated with all kinds of stuff pretty soon.
Well, we hope so. I know it seemed to me that it sounded like a bunch of folks were sending you stuff, and I was sort of holding out hope that, you'd get another bail hearing right quick, and that, I wouldn't, but anyway, I sent you a thing. It's not on that list, and hopefully you should have it tomorrow, according to Amazon, which means you probably won't get it till like Wednesday or something.
Yeah, they got to put it through whatever processing. And
they got to X-ray it.
I appreciate anybody who sends anything at all. I mean, definitely it takes time out of your busy schedule to send me something, and I certainly appreciate it. So, if there's something that you thought, Ian ought to know this, or Ian ought to learn about this topic, now is the time to send that thing. And yes, I do hope that I will get some bail. We do have an appeal in on the absolutely terrible bail hearing that happened within the first week, and of course, court system does not move quickly. So who knows when that'll actually, the gears will turn on that. But we have filed the appeal as of more than a week ago.
What? You mean government moves incredibly slowly and doesn't really kind of know what it's doing?
Right. Well, yeah, it's not their lives that are hanging in the balance. They get to go home and sleep in their beds at night. That's no problem. So they're in no rush.
How is the spiritual resort handling the Rona? The situation?
They have a mask mandate for all the staff and the prisoners. However, I am medically exempt from that. I've noticed there are a few other prisoners who've been going around without masks on for the first time in the last couple of days.
Well, that's probably because on Friday, Governor Snoo did not renew the statewide mandate.
I heard about
that. For individuals, but businesses still have to operate till like mid-May?
And like whoever had the mask mandate in place, in their own city, like Keene, for example, Nashua, a couple of the other small towns, they had their own city ordinance mandate that they passed. So that still is in place, even though the statewide one's been lifted. So
right. I actually asked one of the guards yesterday about that, and he said that the jail doesn't follow the governor's orders, even though it's the executive branch. He said they follow the CDC recommendations, and he also said he wished that it was over. So, there's definitely some jail guards here that think the mask mandate is pretty much BS.
That's great news.
Speaking of health situations, another story I heard was that you were put under psychological watch real early on because you were walking around your cell doing mantras and stuff.
I don't know what the reason was, but they put me in the medical bay for like 4 or 5 nights. They claimed that it was because the booking area was full, which may or may not have been true. I mean, the booking is kind of in and out. People are always coming in for various different reasons. So, but I'm not crazy, so there was no issue.
It's really good to hear from you, and hear that you are, I know that you're not happy where you're at, but you do sound well.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I consider it to be a forced vacation. You make the best out of a situation that you can here. It's actually not that different here than it was when I was in jail at the Cheshire County Spiritual Retreat a decade ago.
Hey, can you stay on for another segment?
Maybe. I'm going to probably have to call back, though, because there's a limited time.
Okay, well, you want to just call it then?
Up to you.
I'm happy to put you on hold and see what happens, brother. I'd like to hear more from you. So stand by.
Right, well, I'll call you back because they're going to time me out here, so I'll call you right back.
Okay. Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. More coming up.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
AnyPay believes that Bitcoin is meant to improve your life, make it easier to do business, connect you with more people in the world at under a penny every time. That's kind of why we laugh at BTC. It used to be free the market, free the world. Now it's just hodl and have fun staying poor. That's not what the world needs. We need honest money that works for everyone. If you care, join us at anypayx.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number in the studio here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been having a conversation with the founder of this very talk show, Mr. Ian Freeman, and we'll get back to his call in just a minute. But in the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And it's Conan.
And Aria will be joining us either next segment or the segment after. So without further ado, let's go back to Mr. Freeman's call. Ian, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, and by the way, what a stupid bail restriction that Aria and the other folks who were let out on bail can't talk to one another, and they can't talk to me, and they can't talk to nobody. It's like, well, okay, so can we make it so the federal government guys can't talk to each other too? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be very nice. And by the way, speaking of one of those in particular who you are not allowed to be in the same room with or talk to or whatnot, has conveyed a message to me that she loves you from the bottom of her heart and misses you very much. And of course, we all miss you very much, and but we know that you're strong and that we're going to get through this. But yes, we all miss you very much for sure.
Agreed.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, and we will get through this. Just the question is, how much damage are they going to do in the meantime?
Yeah,
that's what they want to do. They want to hurt Free Talk Live.
We'll make an example of you.
It's been a pretty effective attack.
Well, they didn't count on the captain being around, so.
Right.
While it wasn't perfect, I did my best to hurl my middle finger in their general direction for, the next 5 days after everything went down until we could get some real help in here. So hopefully that was far more than they anticipated.
Yeah, you guys got her done. Nice job. I don't know if you can hear the screaming man in the background.
No. What do you think his problem is?
He's listening to Free Talk Live.
Oh, he might want
some sort of problem.
So Conan had asked about you being, isolated or put into medical. Are you still there?
No. I think the first 4 or 5 days I was in what they call the processing wing, and then they moved me to medical for another 4 or 5 days, and then they moved me back to processing for a few days, and then they moved me to G block for a couple of days, which is a segregation block, and then they moved me to the B block, which was the worst of all, this open block where there's 40 guys all just kind of living in this open cell block where there's no actual doors. There's 4 toilets for all 40 guys.
Wow.
Is that because they're running out of a room or something?
What's that?
Is that because they're running out of room to house people?
No, this is the way this particular block, this B block, is designed. So it's designed to pack in a bunch of guys. It's sort of like a boys' camp situation where everything's out in the open and there's no privacy, whatsoever. If you want to hang out with convicts and play cards and watch TV, then it's probably fine. But for me, I couldn't even get through a page of a book that I was trying to read, and because I don't wear a mask because of my medical exemption, they told me I couldn't even leave my little cubbyhole area where there was where my mattress was. So I couldn't even go walk around. I couldn't get any meaningful, exercise. I couldn't even make a phone call. So I reached out to the jail administrators and said, "Hey, look, can you put me back in segregation? I'd rather have 1 hour out where I can actually make a phone call than be in this situation where I'm the most restricted.
Sure.
And I think they want me to put a mask on. I think that's really what it's all about, and I'm not going to do that. I'm exempt from
Good
that.
for you.
Did you feel safe in that 40-room room?
Well, I mean, if you're in jail, you're not going to be in a particularly generous. I mean, at least in New Hampshire, in my experience, I don't know about Valley Street. I've heard that place is not so great in Manchester, but a jail like this, these guys are short timers for the most part. They're people with, if you're in jail, you're in with other people who are there for usually no more than a year. So most of those guys aren't going to jeopardize, picking up a real prison sentence for doing anything of any serious danger. I mean, they literally only had one guard watching over a room full of 40 men.
Okay. What are most of the offenses you're finding there from the prisoners?
Well, I don't have a chance to talk to people generally because I'm locked down 23 hours a day.
Right.
That D block I was telling you about, that open room, I was literally there for no more than 4 or 5 hours before they were thankfully able to get me out. So I didn't have to spend I didn't even spend a night there before I was back in a segregated block.
I'm under the understanding that nobody was in a situation where he was amongst many other people, as you've described, and has, of course, developed quite the flock, apparently. 3-4 people that, he's talked about the Church of the Invisible Hand and, this kind of a thing. So he's apparently doing nobody's stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would expect of him, and that's why he's been able to have more freedom to call into the show, because he's not on a 23-hour lockdown. He's likely in an open. Maybe he's not in a block like the one I was in. He's probably in a maximum cell block where they sort of open the doors up and you have your own cell. This is the way it was in Cheshire County, where you can just kind of walk out of your cell anytime you want, except for when they lock you down a few times a day. So he's probably out for 8 hours a day instead of 1.
It sounds just like nobody. You're absolutely right. Pope nobody, or the Messiah nobody, with his flock. He's like Moses coming down from the mountain with his tablets. People want
these 10 commandments.
Yeah, and I might be in a situation like that too, if I were to put a mask on, which of course I'm not going to do because I'm medically exempt, and so therefore I get put in segregation, which is fine because it just gives me a chance to get a lot of reading done, and I can focus on writing stuff and replying to letters.
This is when you learn an instrument, man.
Well, you don't get an instrument. So.
Or a third language or something. I don't know,
Or write your memoirs.
And there's usually there's plenty of books around too, even if people don't send them. The county has a library. You can't actually go to the library, but they'll bring a book cart around. So I've been through probably at least close to 20 books at this point.
Do they let you journal and diary or stuff like that? Do they give you a pen?
As long as you have paper, and if you've got commissary, you can order notepads and things like that. So yes, I can do that stuff. Like I said, I'm working on some blog posts.
On a personal note, when we're kind of relying on you to let us know when you might need more commissary. So just we don't have a way to monitor what that amount is. So
thank you to everybody who's made those donations. It's been very generous, and it's definitely helped because it's a lot easier to make a phone call if it's prepaid.
Indeed.
Because every time you have to call somebody collect, then they have to put a debit card number in, and it takes another 2 or 3 more minutes just to even make a simple phone call. So having that prepaid funding really helps.
Another discussion that I think just cropped up was people having to pay more, and the question was it because of in-state versus out-of-state phones? Do you know anything about that? And we're right at the end, by the way.
Yeah, I'll let you guys go. But yeah, briefly, if I call on a number that's long distance, it's actually cheaper generally than calling a 603 number. Significantly.
Gotcha. Ian, it was nice hearing from you, man.
Great to hear you, brother.
Guys. Keep up the great work.
I'll talk to you again soon. Peace. Ian Freeman, everybody. 603-283-6160 is the number. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Wagner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in, take control of the airwaves, and talk about anything that's on your mind. That's 603-283-6160. And I was here just sitting out in my car listening to Godsmack and In This Moment and stuff while I couldn't talk to what is basically my best freaking friend.
Isn't that just...
It's so ridiculous.
So ridiculous that you can't talk to the dude.
Godsmack, huh? I was listening to Hatebreed on the way over.
Nice.
Cranking The Rise of Brutality.
Well, Godsmack has a new album. Well, not new. Their latest album is When Legends Rise, and it's so different from all of their previous stuff that it's taken me a very long time to like feel it out.
Interesting, because like I always was under the impression that they were picking up right around where Alice in Chains left off, but like a bit heavier, right? They had that dual harmony thing going on that Alice in Chains had going on. before, what's his name offed himself or whatever.
Oh, they're very heavily influenced by Alice in Chains.
Oh, yeah.
Influenced, yeah, but I've never made that connection.
But I haven't.
I'm a huge Alice in Chains.
Isn't Godsmack the name of an Alice in Chains song?
It is, as a matter of fact, yes.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Well, phew, all right. I never connected those dots.
Yeah.
So yeah, their new album, man, it's weird, but they've always just been, one thing I like about Godsmack is that I can respect them because they've always just been straight hard rock.
Yep.
No BS, none of that weird Saint Anger Metallica stuff, none of that weird.
They don't want the trash can snare.
Yeah, and that stupid acoustic album they did, I just brushed that aside. Okay, everyone does this stupid unplugged thing at least once, but for the most part, they've just been a straight up rock band.
I was talking recently, and I might have even mentioned it on air. There's a Kiss song from 1978. I think it's off the Dynasty record. Ace Frehley sings the song, wrote the song, and the song is called 2000 Man. Now, I was born in 72, so in probably like 78 to 80, I'm listening to this song. And this song, Ace Frehley, as far as Kiss is concerned, is supposed to be the spaceman. And so he's from the future. And this song is, don't you know I'm a 2000 man, and my kids, they don't understand me, because he's from the future, right? And so now it's 2021, and I heard this song again just the other day, and I was thinking, like, okay, this song is no longer about the future and about this guy whose kids don't understand him because he's so far advanced. It's now the opposite of that. This song is now about how he's a 2000 man, which was 21 years ago, and his kids don't understand him because his kids are the new ones now, right? So this song has changed its meaning over the course of the turn of the century just by calling itself 2000 Man. And that's just sort of a weird, forward time travel thing that crossed my mind when I heard it.
You said Kiss covered this?
No, Kiss wrote it.
I thought Rolling Stones wrote it.
It's on the Kiss Dynasty album. It's called 2000 Man.
Because Rolling Stones has one called 2000 Man as well, and it's the lyrics you're talking about.
It may be that the Stones covered the Kiss song, but I was pretty sure that that's an Ace Frehley song.
I will point out, though, that Gene Simmons is a monster, and no one should support him or his music.
Yeah, I mean...
Let them be forgotten about.
As far as Kiss is concerned, Ace Frehley is, the one guy out of that band that I have respect for.
I don't know that much about them. I just know that Gene Simmons is all about intellectual property and protecting intellectual property. And I'm just like, dude, you're an artist. Your job is to make art.
Even worse than Metallica?
He's definitely the merch man.
No one is worse than Metallica, dude.
No, Kiss is worse than Metallica.
Metallica is responsible for the death of Napster.
Yep.
Kiss, as far as I'm aware, has yet to kill any file-sharing program.
But Kiss has and invented their own coffin. So if you die and you're a Kiss fan, you can be buried in a coffin that's decorated with the band Kiss and their logo, and it's got speakers and subwoofers mounted inside of it so that Kiss tunes can be cranked while you're being lowered into the ground after you're dead at your funeral.
Have you already bought into this?
No, but I know people who have.
Well, I mean, that's ego, but that's not them.
I'm not that big of a Kiss fan. I
can't stand them.
I hung out with guys that were a couple of years older than me when I was growing up as a kid, and they all listened to Kiss, and so therefore I listened to Kiss vicariously. But I never found myself going, gosh, I really want to listen to some Kiss right now, right? I did happen to see 2 of their 5 final reunion tours.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Somebody bought me a ticket. Like, dude, we need a driver.
I would have just sold them on eBay, dude.
And like, dude, no, they needed somebody to drive. I had a car and that kind of a thing. So, yeah.
On the subject of music, though, I plan to be releasing a song on May the 1st called Apostasy. It's going to be interesting.
And how are you releasing it?
It'll be on SoundCloud. Released
Is that
digitally.
word a portmanteau?
No, it's just the verb form of apostate.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like maybe apostle and ecstasy or something, but I don't know.
That would be cool, though. But no, it's all about the religion of the state and the idea of, burning the temple down.
Nice. When's that coming out?
May the 1st, hopefully.
Okay. Killer.
Cool.
So that'll be fun.
Just one more.
Yeah.
on your huge heaping of projects that are keeping you busy, keeping you down to town.
Well, it's settled down a lot lately now that everything here is mostly working.
Ish.
Well, I have no idea why the phones just stopped working, right? They were working just fine, and then suddenly they weren't. But
are you coding again? I
am coding again. I'm working on an application that is going to let us just enter tags for these segments and click a button and it will automatically upload them all to YouTube. But that's really simple. It's just
if we ever get back on YouTube.
Oh, no, we're on YouTube. It's just on my YouTube channel right
now. Yeah, we're not on the Free Talk Live channel. We're on.
So tell us about that. So we had a 7-day ban, and then as soon as we had one night back, and
Yes,
of course it was you and me.
Yes.
And of course we were going to town on all on all the conspiracies and whatnot, and then that was it. We were off again. 14 days.
We didn't say anything that conflicted with the World Health Organization guidelines, right? So I appealed the decision. If YouTube was like, nope, this is definitely a violation. Here's a 14-day ban. And if it happens again, your channel is going to be permanently deleted. So I'm not putting much effort at all into the Free Talk Live YouTube channel at this point. It's going to be deleted.
I think I'm done with it. I brought an article this evening about our own NPR, New Hampshire NPR covered the Odyssey.
Right, that's the library thing, right?
The library guy, yeah.
Not library, right.
And
have you seen some of the excerpts from the SEC grilling library?
Yes, it's ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
It's like, why did you have a website?
Are you asking me why companies have websites?
Yeah, I am. I'm putting my foot down. I'm not watching YouTube anymore. I just went to Odyssey just now. I've been meaning to go over, but all of my channels are already in place on YouTube. So it's like I turn the stupid thing on and everything's suggested to me. And I went to Odyssey, and all of my favorite channels are on Odyssey right now.
I do hate that about YouTube. Like, I don't want to be fed content. I want to discover content on my own. Right now, if they got little algorithms that help you out here and there, that's fine. But that's not how it works anymore. I never sign in to YouTube ever.
And so you're a guest always.
I'm a guest always. And it's a very interesting experience because depending on what computer I'm on, if I clear all the cookies all the time and that kind of a thing, I'll get to like the homepage of YouTube and I will see all of the crap. Right now, back when YouTube was cool, you used to see like, somebody playing with their cat or, some sort of like a homemade video by an actual person that was doing something funny, right? It was kind of like America's Funniest Home Videos and that kind of a thing. Or something that somebody made that, wasn't professionally produced at all and that kind of thing. Now, if you don't sign into YouTube and you go to the YouTube homepage, everything is professionally produced. Everything is made by some sort of professional content creator. There is no more individualism involved with YouTube, near as I can tell, at least on the main page.
I would agree with that.
I don't know. I just watch YouTube for, gaming videos and stuff like that. And most of those are generally produced well, but I don't see any reason to like stop using YouTube as a service as long as they have content that I enjoy. But it's inevitable that Free Talk Live at least is going to be kicked off of YouTube, at least on that channel. I intend to keep, streaming it on my channel, but then my channel will just get axed. And then at that point, it's just, okay, it's time to find an alternative, which alternatives already exist. You have library, things like that. Of course, we're now streaming on at least 6 different video sites, one of which is my YouTube channel. And we are monitoring all of those chats. So if you happen to be watching at, Vaughn Live or one of these others.
We're on Vaughn?
We are.
Nice.
Yep.
Old
It's
school.
Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves. Talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. That's the calling line. 603-283-6160. Man, it's shocking how frazzled I am just knowing that, Ian called the show.
Yeah.
And I had to step out for that, obviously, but it sucks, man.
One of my pet peeves in life is the game of telephone. Right. You've all played this at some point, right? You sat down in your grade school or whatever, and like the teacher whispered, a series of things into person number one's ear.
Well, hold on. No one is relaying any messages to me from Ian, and no one is relaying any messages from Ian to me.
This is true. But there are facts being relayed, such as,
not from Ian to me and not from me to Ian.
Correct. But status updates as far as like, how did I plug the board in, stuff like that? How did I connect to the radio feed, et cetera, and so on. These are things that normally you and he would talk about, but because you can't, I'm sort of in the middle now. I'm the middleman, if you will.
Well, except you're not, because you're not relaying any messages to Ian from me or any messages from me to Ian. So, but I mean, it sucks, man. Since I came to New Hampshire, he's basically been my best friend. The first best friend that was in New Hampshire moved to Florida. So that was it. And I was like, okay. And then me and Ian became really good friends over the last 2.5 years. And Now he's in jail, and I'm not even allowed to speak with him.
Yeah, it's crappy. And what a BS thing to put on somebody as far as their bail conditions are concerned.
I mean, we have a radio show that we do together. We work together.
Yes.
I don't know how they expect us to do that.
Unless it's intentional.
Obviously, it's not an issue right now because he's in jail, so I'm able to be here all I want. But as soon as he gets out of jail, it's gonna be like, all right, Aria, you can't do Free Talk Live anymore. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, or is he going to have to leave on the days that you come in? And I don't know how that's all going to play out, and it does suck that we have to even consider it.
Now, all of this is happening because on March the 16th of 2021, government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, my house, Renee and Andy Spinella's house, and Colleen Fordham's house. That's right. A 60-year-old grandmother was raided and arrested by the FBI. We were taken into custody, and nobody remained in custody. You may be wondering what you can do to help. Check out thecrypto6.com. There are multiple ways in which you can donate to the Legal Defense Fund because these charges aren't a joke. It's going to take a serious legal team and many experts to protect us from further state aggression. And in fact, I have secured an attorney. So thank you to all who have donated for that. Of course, we're not done paying this attorney.
Not by any stretch. I know some people out there think that, oh, well, you guys have a radio show and you're broadcasting this website every night, and I'm sure you got enough. No, we don't. We don't have enough. We don't even have close to enough money for one, much less two people to get through this entire process, much less all of the Crypto 6. So if you can, please keep it coming.
For some perspective on exactly what numbers we're talking about here, the attorney that I've retained, just for the retainer, $250,000.
That hurts me so bad. Oh, that hurts me so bad.
But it's important because this case is going to set precedent.
That's
going to
wallet
affect
just shrunk up and died
for decades to come. You can help us. Check it out. Thecrypto6.com. Does Crypto6.com also work? Or is
SIX or the number 6.
No, I mean, can we drop the word the?
No, I believe it has to be the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thecrypto6.com. It's all a very stressful experience, But this too will pass. We'll get through this and be reunited and
maybe the Civil War will have kicked off by then, and it won't really matter because we'll be in a bunker somewhere defending ourselves from the redcoats.
I got a couple
and broadcasting Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I got a couple of friends who, they're casual listeners. They'll tune in because they know I do the show, but every once a week or something like that. And one of my friends, Chris, recently pinged me, and he was like, "Is the show still going on?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, it's still going on. If I have anything to do with it, it'll not only keep going, but if anything, we'll amplify it."
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working to do. I don't want to just restore to Free Talk Live to how it was. I want to improve it. And now we can monitor all of these different chat apps at once. Everything's being automated. Hopefully, we are indeed improving Free Talk Live. But let's go to the phones. We got Tom calling from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
The Derek Chauvin trial has, they've had the final arguments and the jury is out now. And they're taking out all kinds of precautions in case of all the bad things that could go wrong as far as civil unrest and everything.
Did they announce the decision?
No,
deliberation.
They're getting ready for all the bad things that could happen if the verdict is not guilty.
Oh, so politicians are surrounding themselves with guns.
Well, Maxine Waters is out in the street as we speak, and she is rallying the forces.
Who is Maxine Waters?
She's a representative from California? Tom, do you know?
So the problem is, by the way, it was on this date back in 1993 that the feds raided the Branch Davidian compound in Texas. And 2 years later, somebody retaliated, but they retaliated wrong. They blew up the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, but they killed 160 innocent people that did not deserve it, and 8 cops. And if there's rioting going on after the the verdict is announced, it could have been avoided by not finding the defendant not guilty. They should make sure they need to implement safeguards to make sure that when a cop commits a murder, the cop shall definitely get convicted. And, they can, simply change the laws so that they're guilty until proven innocent. Simple as that. And that because
I don't like the idea.
Guilty until proven innocent?
I can't endorse that at all.
Well,
I will
they
say that there
control-
is literally video of this cop killing George Floyd. It's pretty much an open and shut case.
Well, let me point out that they control the collection of evidence, and their job is to prove what happened. So they got to be considered guilty until proven innocent.
I don't
then
agree with that at all, Tom.
All right, Tom, it's going to be a hung jury.
We have to extend
how do you
human
think?
happen.
How do you think they're going to react to a hung jury?
I don't know, but what I hope happens if people do go out and fight back, that they don't go out and kill innocent people that don't deserve it.
What about
I hope
what about
they
innocent
fight back
businesses?
against the government? They, not even the politicians. When they look at the riot at the Capitol, where all those Congress members were doing was babbling and scribbling.
Yes, but that babbling and scribbling destroyed people's lives, Tom.
Well,
among them,
and
the
scribbling-
Crypto
no,
6 here in New Hampshire.
The cops are
It's
the
not
ones
inconsequential whatsoever what Congress is doing.
the
They
cops
are
the
monsters.
ones- the cops are the ones that are actually intimidating people into complying.
Yes, on
They are
behalf of the
organized
politicians.
force at
Yeah, they're the
war
armed
against
thugs.
The human race.
Thank you so much for the call tonight, Tom. We have to extend human rights to everyone.
To every human.
Even to our enemies. And that would include the police.
Yes.
I mean, the moment we stop allowing them to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, the moment we're no better than they are.
What we don't have to do, however, is tolerate organizations that are monopolies, particularly monopolies on initiating force and violence. And that is what the police are.
Yes, absolutely. So show prep, my ability to look up what's happening in the world is limited. Let's go with that. I do know that Derek Chauvin, his trial went to jury today.
Jury deliberation today. And
If
who
you
knows how long-
support
who knows-
Derek Chauvin, are you a chauvinist?
Oh, absolutely. You would almost have to be.
I think, and I've been watching the trial from a distance. I don't really care, really. But even though that I should, I think it's going to be hung jury. I don't think they're going to be able to decide on this. I think that there will be riots. There will be more things being burned down, more private businesses. And I know that the AOCs and the Maxine Waters of this world are going to be riding right up there in the front, leading it on, screaming the war charge. And we were talking about the Civil War just a little while ago, and I'm just ready for it because I mean, this is a Band-Aid and needs to get pulled off. The people are, they're not in their right minds. This whole last year has just proven that to me, that the people are they're lunatics, and they want blood, and they're not going to stop until they get blood.
Isn't it bizarre, man? The mask mandate here in New Hampshire has officially expired.
The state mandated.
Yeah, I'm getting into that.
Okay.
So, of course, there are still those in cities, but
at
there
the,
aren't.
at the individual level. So I think the businesses still have to comply with mask mandate, not just Keene and
Right.
Nashua, until the mid-May.
But there still aren't any fewer masks in sight. And more importantly, Chris Sununu admitted in his statement to WMUR about it that the mask mandate was never necessary in the first place.
Really?
He said something to the effect of, well, New Hampshire residents don't need a mandate to tell them how to
this guy,
protect one
man.
another.
He needs to be slapped.
You rioters
down
need to
more
go to
than ever.
Sununu's house.
And he literally gave us a mandate because he thought exactly the opposite. And then he goes on WMUR and says, oh, the mandate's not necessary for people to do the right thing. 603-283-6160.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A move for a mistrial. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Just as the case against Derek Chauvin for the death of George Floyd got to the jury, the defense tried to get the case tossed.
Defense attorney Eric Nelson cited 2 reasons he felt the jury should have been sequestered at the outset. TV shows that aren't news programs
that specifically involve references to this particular case.
And Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters in Brooklyn Center over the weekend doing what Nelson called
threatening acts of violence in relation to the specific case.
Judge Peter Cahill acknowledged that, saying Waters' actions may have given a basis of appeal
that may result in this whole trial being overturned,
but said he trusts the jury has not been tainted by that, and the Congresswoman's opinions are just opinions.
So, motion for mistrial is denied.
Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Security is high in and around Minneapolis after violent protests last year after Floyd's death and last week over the police shooting of Daunte Wright in nearby Brooklyn Center. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says he's spoken to people in the community who are calling for reforms.
And they very clearly stated if the systemic changes that need to be made aren't made, that things would repeat themselves. And when I say things, I mean the horrific deaths of young black men over and over.
Walz says life and property must be protected, but people should be allowed to protest in a peaceful fashion. The Washington, D.C. Medical Examiner's Office has ruled Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who died days after the January 6th riot, died of natural causes. Initially, investigators believed he was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. Later, 2 people were charged with assaulting him with a chemical substance. The ruling means it's unlikely anyone will face criminal charges for his death. The State Department says it'll begin updated travel advisories in relation to COVID-19. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that Cleopatra dated 3 different emperors? You would if you watched the series Women Who Made History on Curiosity Stream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, Curiosity Stream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
The Biden administration denies that a decision to increase limits on refugees admitted into the U.S. was made because of criticism from Democrats.
The number of refugees allowed to be admitted into the United States will increase no later than May 15th.
This was always meant to be just the beginning.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the administration did not cave to pressure from Democrats last week after issuing a statement announcing it would lift bans on refugees from parts of the Middle East and Africa, but not increase the 15,000 refugee resettlements allowed by the Trump administration.
Well, I think as I just outlined, we never said we're not raising the refugee cap.
President Biden has promised to raise the refugee cap tenfold in the next fiscal year. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The grocery chain has closed 2 stores in a Southern California city that approved hero pay for workers.
Kroger closed 2 stores in Long Beach over the weekend, but says the city's so-called hero pay ordinance had nothing to do with the decision. The measure increases wages by up to $4 an hour for workers in retail stores and pharmacies with 300 or more employees due to the hazards of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kroger says the shuttered stores were underperforming and gave workers the option to transfer to other locations. Long Beach Democrat Mayor Robert Garcia approved the ordinance in January to the delight of community leaders and unions, but to the chagrin of the California Grocers Association. The group immediately requested an injunction on the pay hike, but a federal judge blocked the effort. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
The NASA chopper Ingenuity.
It's the Onion Radio News. A family of 5 is found alive in the suburbs. This is Doyle Redland reporting. The Holzapfel family, long feared missing or spiritually dead, was found alive in the Chicago suburb of Buffalo Grove today, somehow managing to survive in the hostile environment for more than 8 years. Rescuers discovered the 5-person clan after a survey plane spotted a signal fire from a barbecue grill. To protect themselves from the elements during their long ordeal, the Holzapfels fashioned a 3-bedroom ranch-style lean-to with brick facing and white aluminum siding. Paramedic Mary Gill was first on the scene.
They were all suffering from severe cultural malnutrition.
The Holzapfels have been returned to civilization for now, though trips to the Art Institute of Chicago and a nice Peruvian restaurant intended to reacquaint them with urban living have been met with confusion and resistance. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
The push to legalize marijuana is gaining momentum. These prescription doobies will do a whole lot more than just give patients a case of the munchies. Proponents are piping up to say that medical marijuana can help patients with some of the chronic illnesses that have been majorly killing their buzz. Unfortunately, 36 U.S. states are still not a kind bud of the legalization argument. But in states that do have the plan, the results have been, well, pretty far out, man. Patients nationwide are bluntly asking state legislatures to finally mellow out so that they and their doctors can work jointly to stop the suffering that's making a hash of their lives.
So it's clearly an issue that means a lot to these patients.
So states shouldn't toke their time with this policy. We'd be upset if patients had to wait a long time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. People are asking if we're banned from Twitch. As far as I'm aware, we're not. Now I have to sit through this 20-second advertisement to confirm, but it shows that we're live. So as far as I can tell, and we're getting the same information on DLive. That's curious. Let me pull that up and see. We are offline on DLive for whatever reason. I can take a look at that and get that fixed. But yeah, weird stuff. We are migrating from Caster.io onto Restream.io, mostly because Restream gives us a chat tool that takes all of the different chats from Facebook, YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Vaughn Live, and puts them in one single place so we can watch them. Previously, we were only watching Twitch and DLive, and we had separate chat windows for each of those.
Yeah.
Now we can watch all of
totally
it.
difficult to even keep track of, much less pay attention to on a regular basis.
So I don't know why we're not streaming on DLive. I'm going to look into that. All it shows for me is sending data. I will figure it out. So anyway, that's fun. Lots of fun little tech issues to work out. Stopping and restarting the stream would probably fix the issue.
Right, but then that's going to create multiple files and all sorts of weird things for...
Yeah, I prefer to not stop it at all. We'll be back on DLive tomorrow. I could probably go in and start it manually. I don't know. I'm going to give that a shot and see what happens. So hopefully we'll be up on DLive here in a minute. Maybe we won't be. I don't know. We're working on sorting all sorts of
In the
things
meantime,
out.
you can get the audio stream at lrn.fm.
That's true, you can. Or you can just watch on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or any of these other platforms. We're available on all of them. But let's go to the phones. We've got Scott the Bigot calling. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening, Aria. And I didn't catch the other your
co-host name.
You're correct. I'm not very good at
know
my job tonight. I'm here with Captain Kickass and Conan.
Captain Kickass, Conan area. Thank you for taking my call. Today, if your listeners aren't aware, is, of course, April 19th, 2021. But today marks the 28th anniversary of the federal government's attack on the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, in which many innocent men, women, and children were ruthlessly slaughtered, and their leader as well, David Koresh, by this evil government. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware that it was the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, Tom brought it up last hour.
Yeah, well, the 28th anniversary.
Did he? I was in here for that.
Also,
yeah, he did.
Like I said, I'm not very good at my job tonight.
That was April 19th, 1993, in which ATF, FBI, and other evil government agencies attacked the Branch Davidian compound. But then 2 years later, on April 19th, 1995, that marks the 26th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing carried out by Timothy McVeigh's retribution for the Branch Davidian massacre 2 years earlier. So McVeigh, of course, was later executed by our Zionist-occupied government, or ZOG. And both incidents were unfortunate and could have been avoided. But sadly, our heavy-handed, vindictive, ruthless, and evil Zionist-occupied government was out for blood. And the point I'm making is January 6, 2021, our government was out for blood again, because that marks America's, in my opinion, second revolutionary war against a tyrannical government. And these people, I don't condone the violence, but these insurrectionists were heroes because they took a stand against our evil government.
Do you really believe that's what that was? They were just milling about the house. They weren't doing anything. They were just, there was old grandmas in there with flags.
It was old men with canes breaking down the barriers there.
That was nothing like what's going on in the world right now. It was just some guy. They were walking and they were staying in the damn red lines. All this breaking of the White House, breaking it down, and the breaking down of the doors, and all they were doing was stealing the podium and stuff.
They've been railroaded, just like Ian has been railroaded by the FBI. When the government wants to railroad you, they can come up with all kinds of trumped-up phony excuses, just throw you in the slammer. It's just horrible.
Well, this isn't just the government saying it; it's mainstream media saying it.
And it would all be okay with Scott if it were just government doing it, but it's not okay with Scott because it's the Zionist-occupied government that's doing it.
Yes, it wouldn't matter what. I
can't believe anyone would say yes to that.
It happens to be
STB.
a Zionist-occupied government. And, I have a new name for the 16. I call it the 1621 militia to start the new American Revolution. Because take it out of the date of the insurrection, 1621. Call it the 1621 militia. Have a flag. And you know what I would use as the logo? I would use a stake, Benjamin Franklin from the Revolutionary War.
Okay, Scott, quick question.
On top of the stake. Don't tread on me.
You say what you would do, not what you are doing. Why?
I don't know anyone that's in this. I do what I can by speaking out. I don't know. I don't know how to link up with anyone who believes that the government is evil, like I do, and what they're doing about it.
Well, it would help your cause if you would get rid of the bigotry.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you admire the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys?
I don't admire anyone.
I'm a fan of the Proud Boys. I'm not Proud Boys, but the Oath Keepers. In fact, in a way, I am one. I don't follow their websites, or I don't have any of their bumper stickers on my vehicle or anything, but I'm an Oath Keeper.
The point I'm making is that the ADL and George Soros is painting both groups as neo-Nazi, far right wing.
Yeah.
And that's very sad. But the funny thing is about George Soros, he never, ever criticizes Antifa or Black BLM. You know why?
Because he's a leftist.
This billionaire, leftist, Jewish billionaire finances both movements. He finances both of them. And the FBI has been egged on by the ADL, which is a private organization that has no right to stick its nose in telling the FBI what to do.
So you'd be just fine, Scott, with government if it was financed and funded by the right?
Say that again?
You'd be just fine with government if it was occupied or otherwise controlled by the right?
What kind of government would you support, Scott?
See, because I think the difference between you and me, Scott, is that you claim to have this distaste for government, But you only claimed, as near as I could tell, your distaste only goes so far as your preferred controllers, whereas my distaste for government goes for the organization at its core, because it is an organization based on immorality and lack of ethics.
You asked me a question, and I will answer, and I'll answer it without sugarcoating or double talking. I hate communism. I despise it. I hate socialism. I despise it. I hate democracy. I absolutely detest democracy. The answer to your question, I would go with National Socialism or Nazism.
What about the many people who would be killed under National Socialism, Scott?
That is a problem. That definitely is indeed a problem, because
I mean, I would be at the top of the list of people your government would execute. And you seem okay with that. You prefer that. Why?
I prefer it because...
Now, remember, you're answering the question of why you would prefer the government to execute me.
What if there was a National Socialism that did not stick people in concentration camps, did not shoot people, did not murder? I'm Jewish myself. I'd be slaughtered as well.
So you're okay with this?
I would be all right with a National Socialism if it could be, if you will, toned down, if that's possible.
Toned down to not kill the undesirables?
That's right.
So what would we do with the undesirables?
Controlled.
How is it
controlled by, like, rounding them up in concentration camps?
Putting them on a spaceship to the moon?
Scott, thank you so much for the call tonight. Interesting.
Yeah, we've run out of continents, so they can't be another Australia. We've got to send them to the moon.
You would think, or Mars or something.
It's always fun to talk to Scott and remind him that, you know, what you're advocating, it can get real people killed.
Every time,
he struggles
throughout
with
all
that.
of history.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do You think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, 603-283-6160.
I just want to be clear, talk radio that you control, in case Scott was, hearing words strewn together that shouldn't be. Talk radio that Jews control.
As long as you don't cuss.
Just want to make sure Scott's aware that it's talk radio that you control.
Where are you going with that?
603-283-6... I have no idea. 603-283-6160. You can call in, talk about whatever you want. I got to tell you, out of everything going on, I'm looking forward to Fork Fest more than ever.
Man, I know, me too.
This year, June the 28th through July the 4th at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. If you haven't already booked your camping site, RV site, or motel room, you need to go ahead and do that. It's going to be an awesome event. There's going to be lots of liberty lovers there, and there's no better place to be on Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. There's an awesome fireworks show. There will not be a live music performance, it looks like, this year, unless somebody else puts one together. I'm certainly going to be too busy.
Yeah, it's not going to happen for FUD this year.
No, certainly not.
There are going to be some, events with music.
Sure.
I understand the domes are going to be rented. There's going to be some DJ action going on.
Yeah, but live music it's a different animal, man. It can't be compared to a DJ. But it's still going to be an awesome event. June the 28th through July the 4th. Book your sites now before they empty out. Rogers Campground. Check it out, forkfest.party. Hope to see you there. I'm certainly going to be there. Free Talk Live is going to be there.
I'll be there.
Broadcasting. It's going to be a good time. It always is. And I'll be at the Porcupine Freedom Festival as well for anyone who is there. I figured I have to be. After the sheriff campaign last year, I was already going to be approached by everyone.
Right.
But then you throw this on top of that, and it's like, yeah, I have to be there. These are my people, and
I'll do my best to make myself available to help out.
Awesome. Thanks. There are a lot of people who are messaging me saying they want to help out with Free Talk Live at Forkfest this year, and that'll be fantastic because I think I'm the only show host who's going to be there for the full 2 weeks, and it's difficult to...
Oh, so you're going to be for Porkfest as well?
Yes.
Right.
The Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Are we, and we're allowed back to that?
Well, it's complicated.
Allowed isn't...
We're tolerated?
They're no longer reserving the entire campground. So the campground is open. You don't have to have a Porcupine Freedom Festival ticket in order to access the campground. You just have to have a ticket to go down there and do the Porcupine Freedom Festival events and stuff that I don't care about. So the campground is open to the general public. So Forkfest, in my opinion, is taking place from June the 21st through July the 4th. But We've been saying June the 28th for the last,
year,
9 months. So we might as well continue on with that. But let's go to the phones. We've got Surf Daddy calling. Surf Daddy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, welcome back, Aria.
Thanks. What's on your mind tonight?
Nice to hear your voice. Hey, it's really nice to see with what happened, everybody like Mark and all the rest picking up the baton, so to speak, to keep things going with Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live is far too important to let the government kill it.
Yeah, agreed completely. Yeah, good for you guys. Thank you. But yeah, I also, Scott the Bigot conjured up some things I wanted to say, but I'll just skip over that. But a bunch of nonsense there. But
he usually does. Eventually he's going to stop calling on nights when I'm on, because that's not the first time. There's a dedicated YouTube video of me talking to Scott the Bigot that lasts for like 3 minutes, where I pointed out those same things to him, and he had absolutely no answer, and you could tell he was genuinely taken aback.
I mean, you would think he would have, thought something up in all of that time. He's come to a conclusion that, but
he said he was going to give it some thought. He clearly did not.
Well, he didn't. No.
Yeah. So, the previous caller before that was brought up the trial and the coming violence.
You're referring to the Derek Chauvin trial.
Yep. I live northwest of Los Angeles in a suburb. I live right next door to 2 LAPD cops. And he works in Maxine Waters District. And, they're just starting tomorrow to go on their full tactical alert, 12 to 16 hour shifts. So I certainly see that aspect of it. They're a young family. They got 3 kids and they're just good people. And so there is the human aspect to the violence that is for sure coming here.
And what are his feelings and thoughts and concerns? Is he showing you?
I talked to him. They've only lived next door for a year and a half or 2 years. It's all perspective. Where our philosophies lie. He's. I grew up in the LA area. He's Mexican. He grew up in Coima, which is a well-known gangbanger area for Hispanics. And, he took a different path by becoming a cop. And he's got 3 young boys. He's out in his front yard throwing baseball with them, just trying to do the right thing and do better for than his dad did for him. And he goes down into the fray, and it's insane. During the previous round back in June and May of last year, I would see him rolling in after a 24-hour shift, and he was in the thick of it. It's going to be crazy. I have to drive down through all of this to a project down in Anaheim, which is about an hour and a half drive for me, and I'm thinking, this is on Wednesday. I'm thinking, gosh, do I even want to drive through there? Because I know where things are going to go, no matter how the outcome of the trial is. There's going to be violence.
I certainly hope not.
I think you're absolutely right. The violence has been brewing for a long time, and I don't think the outcome will be as bad if they find him guilty of whatever charges. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This is a Band-Aid is wanting to get ripped off, and the people are coming to a boiling point. The frog has been in the water boiling, and it's going to either jump out or it's going to die. And human nature isn't like that. We're going to, the crazy people are going to want to jump out of the water.
Yeah, the propaganda has convinced everybody that you're either a pitchfork person or a torch person. And if you're a torch person, it's the pitchfork people that are wrong. And if you're a pitchfork person, it's the torch people that are wrong.
Surf Daddy, thank you so much for the call tonight. I certainly would agree that if they find him guilty, there's not likely to be violence, but I hope we don't see any violence anyway.
If it's not him, it'll be the next, the taser shooting, the taser kid.
Man, isn't that insane?
It is.
She thought it was her taser.
What, like a 20-year senior?
A police trainer.
A trainer, exactly, who pulled the wrong weapon.
Adam Toledo? Is it Adam?
it was a female. I don't remember what
No, the kid.
The kid.
Oh,
The
I don't
kid.
know, man. Cops kill so many people. It's hard to keep track of them. I remember some of the most notable
I try to
ones,
remember the victims' names.
like Kelly Thomas, who was beaten to death by like 18 police officers in the streets one night. I remember that one. I remember Dylan Noble, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I say I remember it clearly. I don't. But it says a lot that we're even having this discussion about a police officer who is on video killing someone.
Another police officer on video killing someone.
603-283-6160. Take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in and talk about anything you want. 603-283-6160. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
And Conan.
And the Reverend Captain Kickass is here.
And you have something you'd like to share with us.
I do, actually. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started right at the top of the page. And once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse for ignoring this important world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com and get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com.
Thank you so much. So, other things besides the Chauvin trial are happening in the world today.
They are.
Do either of you have any information about any of that? Because, like I said, I mean, even if I was able to get show prep beyond the few specific websites I was allowed to use, I've been a little swamped lately and haven't looked in the news to see even what is happening.
You know, the alternatives to YouTube are starting to show up. Outlets like our NPR here in New Hampshire is just wrote an article covering one of YouTube's competitors called Odyssey.
Right now, Odyssey, as I understand it, is Library or was Library, LBRY. And now, for whatever reason, they're changing their name or something? Is that?
I'm actually not sure of the connection. I'm familiar with both. I've been to both sites.
Perhaps the article will
Maybe the
tell
article
us.
will. But so I'll just, of course, it starts with a nice little opening discussing Savannah Hernandez, who was kicked off of Twitter, I believe, when she did get for let's see why she was kicked off, and maybe this will make a lot of sense to everybody. Oh, she was talking about the stolen election, which is a concept. It's an idea. Why can't you talk about the idea that, the left have been talking about how Putin stole the election back in 2016. Why can't you talk about the powers that be messing around with the 2020 election? But no, a lot of people were removed from Twitter, YouTube, Facebook for even voicing that concern. And of course, there's the other big one, the one that we're suffering through right now, and that is the COVID-19.
Oh, the medical misinformation.
So for one of the reasons,
like whatever that is, right? Like, okay, so if you have a cough and I say, hey, maybe you should take some elderberry syrup, is that medical misinformation?
Exactly. And why haven't any of the officials, why hasn't Fauci talked about vitamin D or talking about even vitamin C or any of the, or just our sunshine?
Or how to just improve your immune system in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, they just got us kicked off again. Another 14-day ban YouTube. So that's how that is. Yeah. Anyway, she got back on and she convinced her subscribers, let's go somewhere else. Somewhere
Which is
called
good.
Odyssey.
I mean, PewDiePie did that as well. He left YouTube and went exclusively to DLive, at least for his live streams, and was relatively successful. So, I mean, these things have already existed. There's, DLive, Twitch. There are alternatives to YouTube already.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of the relationship between Odyssey and Library, but I know Library is currently being targeted by the SEC because the government's sort of taken this multi-pronged approach at blockchain and cryptocurrency at the moment. I mean, the Crypto 6, yes, we were attacked. But we're not the only ones. They're also coming after Library and Ripple. It's hard to care about
because
Ripple.
of their tokens.
Yes.
Exactly. So Odyssey, which is owned by Library, a Manchester-based tech company, launched last December. On first glance, it looks like any other video hosting website, but it is taking a decidedly different approach to content moderation. No censorship, no deplatforming, no matter what the users say. Library, quote, library is the future of digital content and how we share it and how we publish it, Jeremy Kaufman, Library's founder, told a web host during an interview published in January. And have any of you met Mr. Kaufman?
I've not met him in person.
Because he's just like right across the river. He's right over there.
Yeah, he lives in Manchester.
Mm-hmm. The website does have some community guidelines in place, including no threats of violence, no pornography, and no copyright infringement. But if the website is a giant swimming pool, Library is pledging to not filter the water. Quote, I am not going to deny that if you want to use Library in a Wild West kind of way, that's possible, said Kaufman. But I'd actually say that our internet is not to be edgy or to be putting provocative things in people's faces. Our goal is to give people choices. And excuse me, people, I'm reading this off my phone because my laptop has been updating for the past 2 damn hours. Sorry about that. Recently, Kaufman tweeted about walking through an airport while defying mask rules. To some extent, Odyssey's content has the same vibe. Its most
so
viewed
Odyssey
video
is
of all.
separate from Library.
It's owned by Library. I just pulled up a blog post.
Is Odyssey their live streaming service?
So yes, it says,
Okay.
Say hi to Odyssey, our new video sharing platform. Odyssey works similarly to Library.tv, but with a more streamlined experience and is simpler to use and understand. It's also geared towards helping you discover fresh channels and content more easily. Log into Odyssey with your Library.tv details. Everything you've had on Library.tv will be waiting for you on Odyssey. So it's specifically video streaming.
So he made the analogy that, Odyssey is like walking through an airport without a mask, which I kind of like that analogy. Its most viewed video of all time, according to third-party tracking site, is a lecture about the purported dangers of the vaccine, which you're not going to find on YouTube. With more than 10 million videos already uploaded, there is plenty of everything on Odyssey, from guitar lessons and video gaming to cooking shows. But it is also hosting plenty of user-made videos about Pizzagate, QAnon, false allegations claiming a stolen election, and the big H, Holocaust denials. Online extremism, experts say Odyssey hands-off approach poses a risk, specifically from the far right, in spreading of bigotry, anti-Semitism, and undermining faith and democracy. I am loving everything I'm hearing so far.
It sounds really good to me, yes.
Well, I'm not a fan of anti-Semitism and all of that, but I do know that you can't silence these people by deplatforming them.
No, you just make them. You make them stronger.
You radicalize them,
and most importantly, you don't. You can't have a conversation with them about why they're wrong. If you cancel somebody, you say you can't talk about this because it's the law or because you're not going to be allowed to. All I see is red flags. Like, wait. Why can't he talk about that?
The reason I am such a free speech proponent isn't necessarily because I like to cuss and things like that. I can't do that on the radio. But here we sit on a radio program where we invite everybody to call in, no matter who you are, whatever you're from, whatever you want to talk about. The reason I love free speech is because it allows me to keep my eye on who I think the a-holes are.
Exactly. And, for example, the last segment, Scott the Bigot called in. How can we ever fix Scott? He probably can't be fixed.
I think he can be fixed. I mean,
but how can we have that? How can we fix him if we don't have we can't conversate with him?
Well, you can't even try. You're right. You can't even try if the conversation is just shut down. All of that stuff goes super underground as soon as it is censored.
Yeah, of course. But keep in mind, this is coming from NPR, very strongly left-leaning. They're at one head of the Hydra, and so we know where this is going. Quote, we see a lot of problematic YouTubers who espouse extreme right ideas, who use Odyssey as a backup channel in the fear that at any point they will be banned from YouTube, said Evane Ledig, a researcher based at the University of Oslo. And I know a lot of YouTubers that I watch on YouTube, which I'm not watching anymore, by the way. I'm putting my foot down.
I mean,
that's like their opening.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, make sure you go to Odyssey, make sure you go to Library, because YouTube's taking us down.
Among those is Free Talk Live.
Correct.
It's worth pointing out. I mean, we are one of those shows that are moving to other platforms out of fear that YouTube is going to shut us down because they are about to shut us down.
They have.
603-283-6160. What do you think about censorship? This is Free Talk Live.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101. If it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means, stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
What's the difference between a stoplight and a school bus?
A stoplight is a light, and a school bus is a school bus.
Full of children.
And
right. So
the light doesn't have any kids in it.
That's what you call a derelict, educated derelict.
Yeah,
you gotta come out of Harvard.
I'm really not a derelict. I work for a living.
You are an educated derelict. Well,
Barbara,
you know what?
I agree with
Have fun,
you.
Play your game.
No.
You're a
Because I'll tell you
fornicator,
what,
Mark.
When
Barbara.
you pass that next red light, I sure hope they get you good now.
Barbara,
Hope you don't kill anybody.
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, she hung up on you, Mark.
But I agree with you, Barbara. I was telling you that I agree with you except for the stoplight thing.
Children, Mark. There's children around at every red light. You could possibly kill someone.
This, by the way, gentlemen.
If you would run a red light at 3 a.m. when there's no traffic as far as the eye can see, then you would just as soon run over a school bus and kill all the kids inside.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can call in and talk about anything you want. 603-283-6160. With you in the studio tonight is Aria, Conan, and the Captain. And you know, one of the pieces of software that I used probably more than any other here in Keene, New Hampshire, prior to the warm introduction I got the early morning on March the 16th, was AnyPay.
Well, and everybody's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Well, I'm sorry, but that's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin, getting paid with it? That is the way. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPayX.com is the way to do it. Your customers will love it, and everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store. And it's just fun. Get the free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. Visit AnyPayX.com.
So we're talking about censorship here, which is extremely relevant to Free Talk Live, as we are currently suspended from YouTube for the next.
We're being censored. The government attempted to censor us during the terrorist attack of March 16th, when they not only used Bearcats and battering rams, and by I don't mean individually. I mean they put a battering ram on a Bearcat and then used the Bearcat to battering ram the door down.
Oh, they were
at Free Talk Live.
They were frothing at the mouth to use that piece of equipment. It's probably been sitting in the shed for years, and they finally got the opportunity to break down a door, just like in the video. Oh, did you guys ever see the video for the Bearcat, the advertisement from Lenco?
No, but there's video.
But I want to interject real quick. They were not targeting Free Talk Live. There's still no reason to believe that they were. It was silly of us to have the show hosted at a place that was as high risk as this one. It was incidental.
I don't necessarily disagree that it was incidental. However, that doesn't mean that they did not come in here. They did come in here and attempt to disconnect all sorts of things.
That's standard practice.
You don't think that was two birds with one stone kind of mentality?
I don't. I firmly believe that if the studio was hosted at a business office somewhere here in Keene, it would have been left alone.
I'm not so sure about that. Not if the owner had all of his equipment there. And
hard to tell.
Well, we're definitely being someone, not me. Well, you know what? Who knows? I've been on a list. I know that I am.
If you're not on a list, you ain't doing it right.
I guess I'm just not as bad a boy as the rest of some of you. Well. As far as censorship is concerned, this coming from I'm not trying to be the biggest, baddest on the block. As far as censorship is concerned, this coming from a left-wing organization, this is the meat and potatoes, and this is what you have to fear, because you're going to hear this argument all the time. This argument coming from this researcher based at the University of Oslo. I very much support some of these values of libertarianism. It is certainly an aspect of technology that we need to promote beyond the big tech giants. But we also should be hesitant about the harms that could come as a result. And that's always where they're going to get you. Yep. We can't have these fascists, these anti-Semitists, these flat earthers, any of these conspiracy theories, these tinfoil hat wearers on these platforms spewing their nonsense, because you're going to have people in their basement, some 16-year-old in his basement, and next thing you know, he's on the train and his parents don't know where he went, and they're complaining on The View about how I lost my kid
Throughout all of human history, human beings have used their imagination to make things up.
Yeah.
Now, without the ability to retell those things that they just made up, these stories would not have carried through human history.
Are people being blocked for fiction?
Well, are they?
Or do they know something? Why are they only letting? Well, they actually took him off, but why is Alex Jones the only one that gets to talk this nonsense?
Okay, that's a fair point. Alex Jones does not admit to be creating fiction.
The bigger question is,
but he's always right. But he's such a disinformation agent that it's the way that he does it.
He's never right.
I mean, Bill Hicks is a disinformation agent, and he's speaking the truth, but he does it in such a way that it makes him into a loon, and you can immediately write it off. Like, oh no, Alex Jones says this. That can't be true. Okay, and then 2 years later, you find out that the frogs are gay.
Let's not besmirch the name of Bill Hicks.
The bigger question is, why do some people feel that the rest of the people cannot make these decisions for themselves? If I want to make up some stories, make up some stories about what may or may not have happened in the past and publish that on some sort of an online outlet, whether it's video or audio or PDF form or whatever, I should be able to do just that. And if somebody wants to decide that what I have put out there is fact, That's up to them.
Yeah, except
if they
here's
want
their
to
argument.
decide that it's fiction, that's up to them.
Their argument is what you're going to get crazy videos on YouTube, and then you're going to have someone going into the Pizzagate store shooting it up
One
with
of
their
the
AR.
most fun things about old school YouTube was some of the crazy, wacky videos you got to see.
I agree, but they're
Yes,
going to
but if
say
we
that if someone's spewing anti-COVID nonsense, they're going to keep people killed.
Who decides what anti-COVID nonsense is?
Exactly.
Well,
the powers that
YouTube,
be,
obviously.
the victors get the right history. The last time I checked, and that's why. And you know what? I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks.
Well, hold on, because I can answer the question about why they don't want people doing that. And it's because they're so convinced of their rightness that they cannot entertain the possibility. They cannot even allow alternative hypotheses to exist, alternative statements to be made, because someone might believe them. And their worldview, they're so wrapped in it that they cannot.
or
tolerate
are they
that.
actually hiding something?
Do you guys remember War of the Worlds?
Yes.
Right? The tale of like how this was a fictional radio broadcast and people freaked out because they thought it was real.
I've looked into that, and I'm not so sure that was as big a deal as they've made it out to be.
Sure.
I think that's advertising right there.
But some people treated this fictitious radio story delivery as if it were real because they couldn't tell the difference for whatever reason.
Yeah, and they also told kids to hide under their desks to evade a nuclear bomb.
Now, should that story have been banned?
Well, that is most
Of course
definitely
not.
no.
It'd be ridiculous to ban
because
something like that.
they have made the connection that this is definitely fiction, and that's all right. But now
not
you've got
everybody did at the time it was broadcast.
Yeah, for a couple of
Right?
minutes.
So what's the difference between that and somebody putting out some, made up information about COVID?
The difference between War of the Worlds and a COVID conspiracy theorist or a truther is that War of the Worlds is very most definitely fiction. You
know that now, but at the time.
Yeah, but like I said, that was blown out of proportion. I think that whole idea that people were calling in the police all night long was an advertisement scheme to popularize War of the Worlds. I don't believe it actually really happened as bad as they made it out to be.
Okay.
I think they blew it out of proportion on purpose.
Sure, but it doesn't change the fact that it did happen. There was a broadcast that happened, and at the time of broadcast, people thought it was real.
Except that every break, they warned the public that this is in fact fiction. They warned every single break. They warned, oh, by the way, listeners, this is in fact fiction. Please.
All right. So now take that and
keep
apply
that in
it
mind
to modern technology. YouTube, for example.
Well, we can look to an example of this. Alex Jones, literally in, I think, 1999, did a broadcast where he was making claims like he was seeing Russian jets flying over U.S. airspace, and he was watching Russian soldiers invading the United States. So, I mean, we have an example of someone literally doing this on one of these more modern channels.
He actually was talking about that because
oh God, yes. If you haven't
the
seen
only
it,
thing that I know that he sees are interdimensional elves from wherever.
No, the only thing of his I remember is the plastic coffins.
If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. Look
I've
it up.
seen pictures of the plastic coffins.
Yeah.
Was that made up?
No.
The FEMA camp coffins?
The FEMA camp coffins, right? Yeah.
Look it up on YouTube sometime, man. It's insane. He's talking about this like it's actually happening. Like, oh my God, there's the soldiers. They're shooting at one another. And of course, none of it's actually happening.
Well, I'm not saying that everything he said's come true. He's, like I said, he's an agent.
But
he's
again,
he's not real.
What I'm saying, who has the right to determine whether or not he gets to broadcast that?
Exactly. And
he should have.
He should have that right.
The platform should be agnostic.
No. The platform can silence anyone they want. If he wants to broadcast it, he wants the right to broadcast it. He's got to create his own broadcast platform.
Okay.
I'm not happy with how YouTube and Facebook and these others choose to use their censoring ability. But by all rights, they own the platforms. They should have those.
Well, I think if a
abilities.
YouTube channel gets someone shot up, they leave their basement and go shoot up a pizza parlor. I think Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, I think they should be sued. I think they should lose their privilege, their protective privileges, and I think people can go after them instead of
It's
just
like
the
blaming
YouTube.
AC/DC for some kid shooting himself.
603-283-6160. What are your thoughts on this?
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important
and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Deliberations underway. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The jury in the case of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged in the death of George Floyd, now has the case. After closing arguments were made today, Chauvin's attorney, Eric Nelson, tried to make the case that Floyd's drug use led to his death.
It's a preposterous notion that this did not come into play here.
Special prosecutor Jerry Blackwell said to him, the case is clear.
You can believe your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. It was what you thought it was. It was what you saw. It was homicide.
Chauvin faces charges of second and third degree murder and second degree manslaughter in Floyd's death. He's the first of 4 former officers to be tried. Extra security measures in place in and around Minneapolis as the community awaits the verdict. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says he understands the frustration in the community, but it should not be destroyed. The goal, he says,
is to try and make sure that we strike that proper balance of making sure that the peace and stability is upheld, but that equally as important is that rage that will be on the street regardless of what happens is channeled into a positive way, and that positive way means change.
Wall says nearly 1,000 businesses were destroyed in riots last year, many of which were owned by people of color, the very people, he says, were traumatized by Floyd's death. The Coast Guard says the search for crew members who disappeared when a lift boat capsized off Louisiana last week in bad weather will be suspended. It says it does not expect to find any more survivors. 6 of the 19 workers on board were rescued within hours of the wreck last Tuesday. 5 more bodies were found in the water. New York's Attorney General is investigating whether Governor Andrew Cuomo broke the law by having members of his staff help write and promote his pandemic leadership book. America is listening to Fox News.
Finally, get curcumin and CoQ10 together. Stop Aging Now brings you CoQ10 Ultra to fight inflammation and energize your body. Get a 30-day supply for 40% off plus free shipping with promo code FOX. Power and protect your cells for a strong heart, sharp brain, pain-free joints, and more. Nancy from West Virginia raves, CoQ10 Ultra helps me stay mentally and physically fit. Only from Stop Aging Now. Get 40% off plus free shipping right now. Go to stopagingnow.com and use code FOX.
A social media app that had been pulled from Apple's App Store after the January 6th riot is allowed back.
Republicans, Utah Senator Mike Lee and Colorado Congressman Ken Buck sent Apple a letter asking why Parler was removed from the App Store. Apple's Senior Director of Government Affairs, Timothy Powderly, explained in a letter back that Previously, Parler violated their guidelines having to do with objectionable and user-generated content, saying they had posts that encouraged violence, denigrated multiple groups, and glorified Nazism. Powderly's letter ends by saying they have since been engaged in substantial conversations with Parler to help them become compliant, and due to updated content moderation practices, Parler was allowed back in as of April 14th. Now it's just up to Parler to release the app. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The White House says it's never been easier for people to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
Everyone 16 years and older in every state is eligible for the vaccine. Thanks to the aggressive action we have taken through our wartime whole of government response, we have enough vaccine supply for all adults to get vaccinated.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki, 50% of all adults in America have gotten at least one shot as of yesterday, according to the CDC. This is a Walgreens pharmacy in North Carolina, says it mistakenly gave a small number of people injections of saline instead of the vaccine last month. The company says it's investigating what happened. The National Highway Traffic
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
According to a groundbreaking new study published Thursday in the New England Journal of Medicine, psychologists have discovered that the average person, while ostensibly appearing to be normal and mentally sound in their day-to-day lives, immediately becomes a deranged psychotic when alone at home.
We observed hundreds of subjects with successful careers, numerous friends, and loving families. Perfectly normal. But as soon as they were at their homes by themselves, they began presenting behavior consistent with those suffering from dementia, schizophrenia, and various other acute mental illnesses.
Researchers illustrated the study's findings with footage of 29-year-old test subject Brian Temple, who, despite having a steady job and maintaining an ordinary social life, exhibited increasingly erratic and unstable activity from the moment he was alone in his apartment, including dancing in his kitchen to no music whatsoever. Making grotesque faces in the mirror for extended periods of time, and seemingly having conversations with no one in particular.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. Of course, you're welcome to call in, join the discussion, talk about whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria. Oh,
And some guy who's muted.
Conan.
Oh, Conan.
I always hit all three at once. I don't know what happened that caused me to miss one of them, but
It's probably because
perfect.
During the first two segments when you weren't here, I also didn't unmute Conan at some point.
This is becoming problematic.
It's well, we want to treat.
Are you guys censoring me?
Us first chair people want to make sure that you second chair people
stay in our place.
Are treated the same way by each of the first chair people.
I get you.
I don't know what
I always unmute all three, even if there's no one sitting there, just out of force of habit.
Well, you can't blame the cold weather anymore and that your fingers are numb because, it's warming up, isn't it? It's very, very comfortable out there. Here I am with
It
my...
is very comfortable. I am looking forward to going home tonight, lighting a fire, and sitting on my back porch drinking a lot of wine.
There you go.
I will probably skip the fire, to be honest, because that sounds like a lot of work, and I have a bunch of other stuff I need to do. And did they put enough tape on this webcam?
Well, I know they didn't.
It's not going to fall out. I'll tell you what.
If you haven't been able to open it in 3 minutes, then no, they didn't put enough on.
At least it's cardboard and tape and not one of these plastic contraptions that you end up doing more damage to yourself when you're trying to cut the things
Just
open.
be careful with the samurai letter opener, man.
The excessively dull one that I could never injure myself with. I mean, if you poked someone hard enough, it might penetrate them.
All right.
But I mean, you could also just stab someone with a fork if you wanted to go that far. But anyway, it's been on my agenda for, I don't know, the last week or two to add a fifth webcam to the studio here. That way we have one on each chair.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring one tomorrow, but
you don't have to.
by
Someone's
amazing
already.
coincidence, someone has already.
Oh, look, there's one here. I think the idea was to swap one of them out for some reason. And then for whatever reason, it started working again. So like one of these was malfunctioning. And so another one was ordered. And then like, oh, look, they're all working now.
Well, the universe has certainly been strange lately. Hell, Satan, here I was needing a webcam. And oh, look, here's a webcam.
Amazing. What else can go right?
This isn't the first thing like this that's happened in the last few weeks. I don't remember what the other one was, but it was something exceedingly coincidental like this.
This is one of those things where like when you find something that's gone right, you want to say, what else can go right? Most people, when things go wrong, they'll cascade things. They're like, oh, this went wrong, that went wrong. What else can go wrong? And inevitably, something will go wrong. This is one of those instances where you're like, hey, something went right. What else can go right? You want to cascade the things that are going right to ride that wave.
Well, I'm generally a positive person anyway. I don't sit around thinking, oh, what else could go wrong? Like the night I got out of jail, I was, hanging out with friends at work saying, hey, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it sucks, but it's going to be okay, essentially. And the next night, people came out and hung out, and we chilled. And there's no point sitting around thinking, oh, this is so bad. What's going to happen next? What's the worst that could happen?
There's a whole segment of the population, and that's how they've been for the last over a year.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just
I'm not among them.
living in the doldrums. Just everything can kill you at a moment's notice, or kill grandma, or something's going to get burned down because of violent anti-government people who are roaming the streets. And it's sad that it's come to this.
Well, and part of what I'm talking about too is something that's known as manifesting. The idea is that what you think about expands. So if you spend your time thinking, negative things, why then of course you're going to attract negative actions and negative things happening to you.
Well, that's a given. I mean, the subconscious is powerful. If someone subconsciously expects to have a bad day, they're going to do little tiny things that they don't even notice throughout that entire day.
Bingo.
To make themselves have a bad day.
So in order to manifest having a good day, you want to catch yourself having things go right and then reinforce that with the question. You're asking the universe, what else can go right?
Well, I don't do either of those. I'm a realist, and I just kind of go through my days knowing that bad things happen, good things happen, and I take them both, and with a grain of salt, sometimes a big old grain of salt, or maybe a glass of wine, on the other side of the road.
My experience has been that more people are able to be negative on a day-to-day basis.
Negativity is easy.
That's what I'm saying. Than they are to be positive. So, I like to buck the trend.
To actually be nice, to be a nice person, to be good to your fellow human being, it takes work. You actually have to.
Love.
I don't think it does, man.
It does.
I think what Captain was just about to say is right. It's easy to love someone. It doesn't take any effort at all.
Well, what if it's your coworker who you really don't care much for?
I don't have to care for them I don't have to like them in order to love them.
All right. Well, I guess getting along with your fellow human being is different than the type of love that you feel for your fellow human being. I don't really mix the two.
There are plenty of people that I don't like,
Amen.
but that I still love and want the best for them.
I have specifically family members that I don't like.
Crazy uncle.
Many different varieties of that kind of a thing, but that doesn't mean that I don't love them and want the best for them. I do. I love them and I do want the best for them. Just because we have personality differences and, we don't see eye to eye on, philosophy or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that I don't have love for these people.
The aspect that I'm taking this is in order to get along with those individuals takes work.
It does.
It is very easy to walk into the Thanksgiving dinner and that crazy relative who's going to start talking about gun control. It's so easy to just say,
Except
you know
I'm not
what?
talking
You
about
need to
gun
shut
control.
your damn mouth. that would be very easy. But in order to keep the peace, you have to settle yourself. You have to think about how you're going to keep this from blowing up. It takes work.
See,
It's easy to be nasty.
I handle that by just not dealing with people that I would have to not be nasty around.
Well, that's doing the work.
Like Mitch and no, it's easy for me to not be around my family. That's super easy. Doesn't take any work whatsoever. It would take work for me to be around them, but to be like, hey, my father's a piece of crap and I don't want anything to do with him. Really easy.
I would say it's easier than actually being in a room with them and having to deal with whatever.
I would just leave the room.
But I would say, yeah. Well, I mean, on your part, that is you keeping the peace on your own terms. You leaving the room. So you know what? This is not going to work. I can't put up with this. I am going to peacefully leave the situation. So this doesn't blow up and become something nasty.
Some people are not worth occupying your brain space.
Very true.
Like some folks will, you'll get into some sort of drama with whomever, whether it's your family or friends or whatever, and you'll become consumed with it. And at some point, you have to decide whether or not it's worth you wasting your brain space and your brain time on this individual or individuals.
Yeah.
Well, it never is. Like I had someone, I posted my Calendly link for people to schedule appointments and stuff with me.
Yeah.
And some troll was like, oh, I'm going to create a bunch of empty events to waste your time. And I don't understand. It took this person a considerable amount of time to do this, at least 10 minutes, right? And it's going to take me a total of a fraction of a second.
Was there anything
to dismiss
like
them when
super
they pop
creative?
up.
Like you've been invited to like a Smurf convention or something.
No, that would have been awesome.
Wait, hold on. Is this a thing?
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, man. I just thought,
is this another?
Like if you're gonna troll somebody on their calendar and invite them to like these fictitious events, at least be creative about it.
Is this another wing? Is this another wing of the furries? They specifically cosplay Smurfs.
You'll have to ask Papa.
If my computer
it's not even
worked, I'd Google
trolling,
it.
though. He did me a favor because now I have empty appointments, which means I have free time coming up.
Congratulations, you've just scheduled yourself a whole bunch of free time.
Right.
And so back to the people are nasty, and it's easy to be nasty. There are definitely people out there who love it. They get off on the negativity. These are the same people who watch these reality shows on television where the people are breaking up constantly and they're bickering and fighting with each other. There's a segment of the population who get off on this nastiness that I think I'm going to stick with it. It's easier than being nice. Nastiness is easy.
I agree.
Hopefully we can reach those people and convince them that it's better to live in love than it is to live in hate. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It is money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPay is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get our free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. AnyPayX.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves, 603-283-6160. That's the call-in line. You can talk about anything that's on your mind, 603-283-6160. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
And Conan.
And the captain.
And we do have a new camera here in the studio that is not working as I would like. There's something weird going on with it. Very weird.
It's got a stutter, huh?
Yeah, very weird stutter. But I'm working on it, and
Your
we will
camera's
get
got
that
a speech
sorted out.
impediment.
It's also giving out audio, and that's not correct. Let me go ahead and just get rid of that.
Audio.
So anyway, with you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
It's Conan.
And the captain.
I think I
again.
just did that, didn't I?
This is what happens
do it
when
3
you're
or 4
doing,
more times
you're
if you
clicking
want.
buttons, you're turning us, you're switching the show on. You're also
Groundhog
playing
Day.
around with a camera, and you're trying to have a conversation with your listeners.
Because I don't.
Are you really here?
No.
Hey, Aria.
Hey, Captain.
Who's in the studio today? I bet you the listeners are curious who's in the studio today.
Well, hopefully they know by now that we've gone over it twice, or a third time if you guys would like.
No.
Not me either.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, so new studio. Hopefully it's going to be less twitchy now. I said new studio, new camera.
New camera.
I'm doing.
We don't mind Twitch. It's fine.
I'm doing admin work because otherwise I will be here at the studio after we're doing it, and I have other things I need to be doing that.
Yeah, wine, campfire.
Well, I'm actually. I mean, that was not realistic.
Did you ever get around to it? And I hope you didn't. Did you install Gothic 3?
Of course not.
Good, thank you for that. Did you watch a YouTube video professing his nostalgic memories of Gothic 3, and now I don't like it anymore because it's 2021 and there are much better things out there and much better things to do, including music
That's
or
right. Don't you
fixing
normally
things.
have like a game thing, game of the week or something?
I don't actually. Johnny Ray was a game of the week, but he was playing like the apps and stuff. When I play a game, I get my money's worth.
No, but I mean on the show, don't you usually have a something of the week?
Actually, it's more like a game of the every 3 months because that's about how long it takes
That
me
is
to
about right,
get down
yeah.
to the
All right.
nitty gritty. And the game that I'm playing currently is Enderal. It's a Skyrim total conversion mod.
You're speaking Greek to me.
Most people out there, besides the captain, know what Skyrim is. It's been out for a long
Hold on.
time.
You don't know what Skyrim is?
I've seen the game, but I've never played it.
I actually don't miss it. This game, this total conversion is done such a great job. I'm about 40 hours in. I don't miss Skyrim at all. I never really liked Skyrim. I never really liked it. I never liked the voice acting. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the plot. I thought it was all kind of hokey. This game has taken this engine, the Skyrim engine, and it's really captured me. And speaking of Gothic, Arya, it uses a lot of the same skills, not skills, but the same, it uses the same talent tree, basically, the way this skill attributions. And surprise, surprise, it happens to be also made by a German company, which I guess makes sense. I'm thinking the Germans, they have a mindset when it comes to their gaming, and this really shows through as very Gothic-y. So I definitely recommend it if you need to play something. I know you got a full plate, but for the listeners out there who want to get back into the to the huge world with lots of characters, the open world where you can just kind of roam around and do whatever. That's where it's at, and it's free. Hey, you own Skyrim? This is a free mod, and definitely recommend it. Do we have a caller?
We do, but let's carry on with something while I try to fix this
real
thing.
quick. I want to, because we've been talking about censorship. I don't know who Steve Cortez is, but he has a Twitter account at Cortez Steve, Cortes, and then Steve. According to a tweet from somebody else, Twitter has suspended at Cortez Steve for citing a Stanford study about masks. Here is the actual tweet. Face masks are dirty, dehumanizing, and ineffective. Stanford University study, quote, the data suggests that both medical and non-medical face masks are ineffective to block human-to-human transmission of viral and infectious disease such as SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, unquote. And then there's a link to the actual study.
This makes sense. We've been saying this for a whole year.
Now, this goes on to say, we determined this tweet violated the Twitter rules specifically for violating the policy on spreading misleading and potentially harmful information related to COVID-19.
And this was from a Stanford professor who linked a study, and the study conflicted
Oh,
with
is he a Stanford professor?
Isn't that what you said?
I have no idea who this guy is.
Okay.
Steve Cortez.
Is he a Fox News guy?
I don't know where I heard Stanford professor.
Well, it's a Stanford University study that he is quoting.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? And his
That's what I
tweet, his Twitter account was suspended for citing this Stanford study about the masks. Now, in the Stanford study, it says the data suggests that both medical and non-medical face masks are ineffective for the transmission of SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, quote unquote. So he's quoting an actual Stanford University study. He's provided a shortened link. It's a https://t.co, / whatever. So it's a shortened link to the actual study itself. But then Twitter goes on to say, we've determined this tweet violated the Twitter rules specifically for violating the policy on spreading misleading and potentially harmful information related to COVID-19.
Misleading. Yep.
So apparently a Stanford study on the ineffectiveness of masks is misleading information that will get your Twitter account suspended.
I'm not terribly surprised to hear that. I'm not allowed to use Twitter, but I did receive an email from them recently informing me that I have been suspended from their platform. No idea for how long, but it was because I kept going on to Chris Sununu's Twitter and calling him a fag in replies. And eventually Twitter had enough of that, or he reported it or whatever, because he is a sensitive little fag.
Free speech. I mean, come on.
Snooze.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the worst part about this is when they do this, there's a whole segment of the population who don't get their news from anywhere else, who are not going to see these ideas. They don't get to see that there are others. There are Stanford studies out there that actually have a different idea than CDC or WHO. So when they have a conversation with me at work or whatnot, and I'm like, yeah, these are the numbers, and they're like, where are you getting those numbers?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, from the CDC. It's on their page. If you actually go through the data, it says outright, 500,000 people have died. 8% of them actually had COVID, or only COVID.
Right.
And everything else was,
something
else and COVID.
Right.
And they're like, well, where did you get that information? Well, CDC. Well, who covered that? Yeah. Somebody who's not on YouTube, somebody who's not on Facebook or on Twitter, because they're not allowed to, because as soon as they do, some guy like Cortez here, they take them down.
Right.
So, I mean, talk about red flags. This is exactly what we were talking about in the last segment about censorship.
Yes.
If you take these things down, I immediately see red flags. I'm like, why can't we talk about this?
Yeah.
What are you trying to hide?
And let's just say that this study is wrong. Why should he be prevented from publishing a quote from the study?
Debunk it. If it's wrong, debunk it.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com.